Dry September, written by William Faulkner, delves into racial tension, violence, and moral decay in a small southern town. The story unfolds around the accusation by a white woman, Miss Minnie Cooper, against a black man named Will Mays, alleging assault or intimidation. Despite lacking concrete evidence, the town's men take matters into their own hands, resulting in violent retribution against Mays. Faulkner presents the narrative in a non-linear style, shifting perspectives across its 5 parts, culminating in Mays's lynching. Set in rural Jefferson, Mississippi in 1920, Dry September was first published in Scribner's Magazine in 1932 and later included in Faulkner's collection These 13. These stories are set in Yoknapatawpha County, a fictional region resembling Lafayette County, Faulkner's hometown. Yoknapatawpha County serves as a backdrop for Faulkner's exploration of Southern Gothic themes, complex family histories, and the decline of the white Southern aristocracy. Similar to A Rose for Emily, Dry September examines the darker aspects of human nature in the post-World War I American South, particularly the destructive influence of prejudice, tradition, and small-town gossip. Through this and other Yoknapatawpha stories, Faulkner probes the South's troubled race and class dynamics and characters grappling with a changing world. Dry September anticipates later works like Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, published in 1960, which portrays the trial of Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman. Unlike Mays, Robinson receives a trial but faces a biased jury and is ultimately killed. Both Mays and Robinson symbolize the unjust targeting of black men, the brutality of mob mentality, and the injustices of vigilante justice in the early 20th century American South. In the opening of the story's first part, a group of men gathers at the local barbershop in Jefferson, enduring the oppressive heat of a 62-day drought. Their discussion centers on rumors involving Miss Minnie Cooper and a black man, Will Mays. Uncertain whether she was attacked, insulted, or frightened, they lack concrete evidence of any crime. The men split into factions, one advocating for patience until facts emerge, led by the protagonist, Barber Henry Hawkshaw, who defends Mays's innocence based on personal acquaintance. I know Will Mays. Opposing them is another faction that dismisses calls for evidence with racial slurs, led by the antagonist, John McClendon, a former World War I commander. McClendon asserts the irrelevance of Mays's guilt or innocence, stoking the mob's emotions with the argument that waiting risks allowing further offenses by black men. Amid escalating tensions and spurred by the sweltering heat, McClendon incites the men to form a mob and pursue Mays, disregarding Hawkshaw's pleas to trust in the legal system. As the situation intensifies, Hawkshaw rushes after the mob in a desperate bid to prevent violence. Part 2 shifts its focus to Miss Minnie Cooper, an unmarried woman in her late 30s who was once a popular socialite. Despite her former social prowess, she withdrew from gatherings after overhearing gossip about herself at an event years ago, deciding never to attend again. Currently residing with her mother and elderly aunt, her routine consists of porch sitting until noon, a post-lunch nap, and dressing up in new voile dresses for downtown visits in the late afternoon. While her family is described as comfortable, Miss Minnie remains unaware of her social decline as her peers move on to marriages and families. Former schoolmates' children now refer to her as Auntie, prompting her to request being called cousin instead. 8 years prior to the events of September, Miss Minnie briefly socialized with a widowed bank cashier, an affair that led to more gossip and no lasting relationship for her. In Part 3, the perspective shifts back to Hawkshaw, who catches up to the mob led by McClendon. The day ends in a haze of dust as Hawkshaw reaches the town square, now quiet and deserted. McClendon, seeing Hawkshaw approach, assumes he has switched sides regarding Will Mays's innocence. Hawkshaw reluctantly joins the pursuit of Mays, who works as a night watchman at the ice plant. They track down Mays at the ice plant, where a voice from the mob urges his death. McClendon decides against killing him there, instead handcuffing Mays and forcing him into his car. During the tense drive, Mays pleads with McClendon, addressing him by name and questioning his fate. Mays attempts to resist but realizes his helplessness as the car speeds toward a desolate pasture containing an abandoned brick kiln and pits of red dirt. Despite Mays calling out for Mr. Henry several times, Hawkshaw feels powerless to intervene. As McClendon refuses to stop for Hawkshaw to exit, the barber takes matters into his own hands, leaping from the car and limping back toward town. Hidden by the roadside, Hawkshaw watches as McClendon's car races back toward Jefferson, noticeably without Mays. Part 4 of Dry September revisits Miss Minnie Cooper as she prepares for an evening outing to the movies. She meticulously grooms herself, donning her finest undergarments, stockings, and a new voile dress. Concerned friends inquire about her strength to go out, unsure of what, if anything, transpired involving Will Mays. In downtown Jefferson, Minnie walks slowly through the streets and square, visibly trembling with her hands clasped at her sides. She becomes the center of attention again, identified as the one, as men tip their hats and whispered conversations confirm the swift spread of the news about Mays's little trip. Surrounded by curious women eager for details, Miss Minnie joins them on their way to the movie theater. There she notices the youthful couples and the tantalizing scent in the air, juxtaposed against her own faded appearance and loneliness. Overwhelmed by the beauty and passion depicted on the screen, contrasting sharply with her own reality, Miss Minnie begins to laugh uncontrollably. Her laughter draws attention, prompting her friends to escort her back home. They try to calm her hysteria, undress her, tuck her into bed, apply ice packs, and summon a doctor. Part 5 concludes Dry September with McClendon's return home. He is enraged to find his wife still awake and waiting. She explains that the heat has prevented her from sleeping, but he violently grabs her shoulder and throws her onto a chair. In the story's final moments, McClendon removes his pistol and undresses on the screen porch, surrounded by the oppressive darkness of the hot night. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.